everyone, it's Shel from Paper Actio Studio, and for those of you who've been following along with the Pick a Stick Challenge over in the Facebook group, you know that we have a monthly giveaway where we give away 4 ATC cards that are made with the challenge. We added an ATC challenge in addition to the 10-step journaling challenge. There's also a 3-step ATC challenge, and when you do both of those challenges and post them in the Facebook group, you're entered in a drawing, and we give away these ATCs, and each month it's a different artist who makes them. November happens to be my month. So the first step of the challenge was to use Neocolor 2 or other watercolors. So I'm using my Neocolor 2s on these trading cards that I've cut out of 140-pound cold pressed watercolor paper. It's a nice heavy weight, and it has a rougher side and a smoother side, and I'm using the smoother side. And then I've colored different colors right directly onto the paper with my Neocolors, which are a water-soluble crayon. And then I'm blending them out to make a background using some of the Deco Arts medium, which has glitter in it. So these are going to have glitter at the end all over them, which was my plan. The second step is to add numbers. Now these steps are random. We pick 10 steps for the prompts to go through on the art journal page, and then we just, from those 10, we pick out another 3 from those 10, and so these 3 will be in the other challenge, but they're also in the ATC challenge. So add numbers, I don't know, it's random. So I'm using a stamp that I got a long time ago, probably from Michael's, and I'm using some Dylusions acrylics paints in a few more colors. I'm trying to make a super bright background. So I use the bubblegum pink, the vibrant turquoise, and the green one, fresh lime maybe, and stamped these numbers onto my background. I'm not using them as numbers particularly, just as a design element and a way to add more color to my background. So don't really care that they're numbers, it doesn't matter. It could have been dots, it could have been swirls, it could have been whatever. It's just an element to add more color. So I had a little bit of the decoupage medium left, and I decided to go ahead and add a layer of that onto each card just to make sure that I really did seal in all those Neocolor 2s in the background, and also to add the layer of glitter everywhere. Once those were dry, then I decided that my next step was add gesso, and I wanted to use black gesso and make it an exclusion where the image comes clear, made from the bright colors, and the background is black. So I am making a drawing. Because I'm making 5 cards, I'm making an extra for a different thing, and then the 4 to give away. I want them to all be the same. So if I drew on every single one, each one would be different, which would be okay, I guess, but I thought this would be quicker to make one drawing and then transfer it onto the cards. So that was my time-saving plan, as well as my attempt to make them all pretty much the same. However, my first transfer method, as you will see, isn't going to work very well. So then I'm not sure that I really saved that much time, and maybe I should have just went ahead and drew the image on each one separately. It's just a rose. It's not that hard to draw. For what I'm doing, you could also use a stencil. If you have a stencil of something cute like a hummingbird or I don't know, a flower of some sort, it would work as well. I'm basically going to end up making a stencil because my other transfer method didn't work. So after I make my drawing, I go over it with a black pen because I want to make sure that I can see the lines. You know, the graphite's not that dark, so just going over it with the black lines. And when that's finished, I trim it down to size so that I can line it up every time, because that's important. And then I put graphite over the whole back by just using a pencil and just scribbling all over it. This is a really great method of transfer. I've used this a ton of times when I've made my own homemade stamp, and also when I've transferred onto a canvas, a drawing onto a canvas. It's a great method. Even if you don't draw, you could use a coloring book page or something like that to transfer an image onto a canvas or a journal page that you wanted to try to paint. Something like that. It works great. But in this case, it didn't work because the background was so crazy bright and so many different variations of color. I couldn't see the lines at all, so I just erased them. And then I went to my second method, which is to basically make a stencil. You could do this with a stencil, actually, if you didn't want to draw something. So I've got out my self-healing mat and my X-Acto knife. I'm going to cut out all the petals on this. And it may look strange, like I have that straight edge over the top of that, but it's because it's magnetic. It's actually holding down the paper. I'm not going to use it to cut anything, but it does hold the paper in place, which is a nice little feature of this particular We Are Memory Keepers self-healing mat in straight edge. That's why I got it, because of the metallic, I mean, not metallic, magnetic features of it. So I just go ahead and cut this out and make it into a little stencil, and in that way I can trace my image onto each card and they will all be the same. Did this save me time over drawing a rose on each card? I'm not sure it did, because you know, it takes a second to cut out a stencil. I'm pretty good at it, but it took me a second to do that. But now I can use it for all 5 cards. So I'm going to use my Faber-Castell pit pins, the small nib. You know, it has many different sizes in this set. This is a permanent India ink, so it won't go anywhere once I've drawn it on there. And then I'm just going to draw around each petal, transferring my image onto my card. And this worked great, but whether it saved me time, I'm not sure. Maybe I should have just tried to find a rose stencil and not drew at all. But I don't think I have one, so at least not one that would fit on the card like this. Artist trading cards are 3.5 inches by 2.5 inches, in case you guys didn't realize that. And I did cut these myself using a guillotine cutter out of a sheet of 140-pound cold-pressed watercolor paper. So my next step is to get out some black gesso. The next step on the 3 steps is to use gesso. So I'm using black gesso and a very small brush, and I'm just going around and blacking out the background, leaving the petals of the rose and everything in the full color. And this technique is what I call exclusion. I'm excluding the background. I don't know what other people call it, but I like to do this sometimes. I think it's pretty fun. But if you guys didn't know, black gesso is, at least this particular brand, and I'm assuming probably all the gessos pretty much, are very, very, very matte. There's no gloss in it at all. So I didn't want it to be that flat looking, so I do end up changing that at the end, but I did use the gesso. Gotta follow the steps in order. There's still time to join the Pick a Stick Challenge. It's where we pick 10 sticks of fate, and then you follow them in order, and then we pick 3 extra ones out of the 10 to do this challenge. And you can join the Facebook group by using the link in the description box below. And it's a closed group, so you will have to be accepted. And, you know, it might take us a second to do that. And then you can participate in the challenges over there. And also, if you do the page of the month and the ATC of the month, then you get entered in a drawing. And that's what these cards are for, is the drawing. We give away the cards, and then also one person gets a bonus package of some Happy Mail type stuff, or whatever I have on hand. So once my background is all painted in, I'm going to give this a really good dry. At least I thought I did. And then I'm going to go over the whole card with this Deco Page glitter medium. It's a decoupage medium that has glitter in it that I've been using the whole time, and it really makes a shiny look on top of this black, and it takes away the flatness of the black gesso that I wasn't enjoying particularly much. And then I also go around and give it a white fine line border just to make it look a little bit more classy and finished, using my white Posca pen.